He was doing what? With you. Why? Why? Why?
Hold it a minute, goddammit.
Tonight on 60 Minutes, celebrating Mike Wallace.
Sit down. All right.
The master
You're a crook.
of the TV interview.
What the dickens are you doing?
Who wants to kill you?
It's almost an embarrassment, sir, to hear this from you.
Me? Yes, you.
The list of his subjects reads like a who's who of the past half-century.
Make a noise.
You must be good to me.
Why would I be otherwise?
Come on, Mike.
Smooth as Cary Grant,
Come on out.
ferocious
You don't want to talk to me?
as a junkyard dog.
We gotta get over here, Mike. We want to just get right over here.
You're contemptible.
I think you should keep quiet.
Come on. Come on. Oh, come on.
You like this, that 40 million people have to see me do this.
You can't believe that.
Tonight, 60 Minutes looks back on the life and the times of Mike Wallace.
I'm Mike Wallace. My name is Mike Wallace.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Mike Wallace.
Tonight, we remember Mike Wallace, one of the founders of this broadcast and its most public face. For 40 years, it was the sound of the stopwatch and Mike's voice that signaled the start of another edition of 60 Minutes. That voice has been silenced, but he was one of the true giants of television. His reporting style and interviewing technique influenced generations of journalists and set the style and the tone of this program. What better way to honor and remember Mike than to look back at some of the highlights of his extraordinary career.
He was doing what? With you. Why? 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 Really?
When you boil it down to low gravy,
You demanded special treatment.
you needed money. It's almost an embarrassment, sir, to hear this from you.
What?
What do they want you to do?
What is it?
I sat down with Mike in the spring of 2006 on the occasion of his semi-retirement from 60 Minutes. In the studio where the show is put together every week, we watched some notable people get put through the Mike Wallace meat grinder.
Wait. What are you saying?
For instance, there he was with Vladimir Putin, who at the time was the president of Russia. But it's clear from this interview that Mike was the one in charge.
Corruption is every place in Russia. Agreed? Why? To get anything done. Money.
I've never seen a situation or seen an interview that you did not dominate in terms of personality, in terms of force of personality.
That's very flattering, I guess, but
How do you do it?
I'm nosy and insistent, and not to be pushed aside.
And confident.
Confident in the material that I have, in the questions that I have. Confident that when I ask a question, there's a reason for its being asked, that I have the specifics in research to warrant the asking of a question. It's not a question picked out of the air. You are the last major communist dictatorship in the world.
Mike was always an equal opportunity offender, here with Jiang Zemin, then president of China.
Am I wrong?
Of course. This is big mistake.
You are.
Very frank speaking, I don't agree with your point. I'm dictator.
I know you don't. I know that you don't. But there's an old American phrase about if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck and so forth, it's a duck.
To me, that's a classic Mike Wallace interrogation.
Father knows best.
He said very little, except react, and you could tell a lot from the reaction.
If you get in the way of Father, Father will take care of you.
That kind of audacity is something that Mike perfected long before 60 Minutes.
Really?
It began 50 years ago with a local New York interview show called Night Beat.
Good evening. I'm Mike Wallace. The show is Night Beat.
Up to Night Beat, I was utterly anonymous. Night Beat was the one.
What do you know about that? Who in the United States is qualified? What kind of people are your friends?
Night Beat and the spin-offs Mike did for ABC revolutionized TV talk. Here he is with another Mike, labor leader Mike Quill.
What about this statement that you made in your own paper?
We were doing a kind of show that had never been done before. Nasty questions, abrasive questions, confrontational questions.
And you have no right to sit in judgment on me.
I'm not sitting in judgment. I'm simply asking a question.
I'm ready any time you want to repeat the stupid question.
The similarities with 60 Minutes are striking. Mobster Mickey Cohen with Mike
in 1957.
You've killed at least one man, or how many more?
Well,
How many more, Mick?
I have killed no man that, in the first place, didn't deserve killing.
Mobster Jimmy Fradiano on 60 Minutes in 1981.
Jimmy, who was the first person you killed?
Frankie Nicoli.
Where'd you kill him?
In my house.
How'd you kill him?
We strangled him. But I think it would bother me if I killed an innocent person.
What do you mean by an innocent person?
Well, you're an innocent person.
I'm glad to hear you don't have designs.
Well, I mean, somebody innocent, you know.
They're fascinating characters, aren't they?
Yes. Do you like doing mafia guys?
Of course.
Never felt scared.
I'm a pro. What happens is you try to establish, or I do, a kind of chemistry of confidentiality.
Even though their camera's running.
Yeah. And you can. After a while, the interviewee is so persuaded that you've done a lot of work and that you know a lot about him or her. And he says, look, I'm here. I'm going to be asked some questions, so why don't we look at each other and talk to each other? And all of a sudden you can see they forget the cameras, they forget the lights, and they begin to answer accurately and in a strange way comfortably.
Come on out. You don't want to talk to me?
He also went with great relish after small-time crooks, cons, and miscreants of all sorts.
I don't understand. They must be ashamed of something.
Why are you so reluctant? Why are you so
We
reluctant?
gotta get over here, Mike. We want to just get right over here.
You got roughed up a little bit there.
A little bit, yeah. He just didn't want to answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
Father, I want to read you some things.
I mean, you ride up like the Lone Ranger, saving the day.
She lost her virginity that day. Now, why would she say that about you, Father Kirsch, if it were not so?
And the audience, obviously, just loved it.
Are you, sir?
What is this?
This is 60 Minutes.
Wow.
Here was a reporter who was willing to go in and make a damn fool of himself sometimes.
No, I have no intention of leaving until you tell me what's on your mind. We gave you $40. You gave us...
Porn peddlers, scammers, confidence men.
I don't know. He put it over there. This is my thing.
You're contemptible. I mean, that's not for the camera. I'd like you to get out of here.
For a few years, they were staples on 60 Minutes.
I hope you got it, and I hope you have the guts to use it.
If you had so much fun and the audience loved it, why did you stop doing it?
Because it became a caricature of itself. And we realized we weren't getting information. We were getting drama.
Mike, you have something against drama?
Oh, no. But if it is legitimate drama, if you really are after, by asking a tough question or a difficult question, nothing wrong with it, because you're in search of the truth, you hope. Accuracy, understanding. But to do it just to make somebody look like a fool or embarrass them or what, after a while. All right.
Over the years, Mike developed his own special shorthand vocabulary for dragging information out of people.
You have a couple of stock phrases. Come on.
Come on, come on. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Come on.
Look.
Look. Yeah, you don't do it on purpose. It's in conversation.
Forgive me.
Forgive me.
Forgive me.
Forgive me.
In Mike's speak, forgive me always meant a really nasty question was coming. Here's the famous encounter during the Iranian hostage crisis in 1979 when Mike asked the Ayatollah Khomeini if he was nuts.
Imam President Sadat of Egypt says that what you are doing now is, quote, a disgrace to Islam. And he calls you, Imam, forgive me, his words, not mine, a lunatic.
And I figured, what the hell are they going to do? Make me a hostage of two if I ask?
Put you in prison.
Yeah.
That's what I heard President Sadat say.
Well, the guy that was translating, he looked over at me and said, you're the lunatic if you think I'm going to translate that question to the Ayatollah.
And he used the word a lunatic.
Sadat. And it got the Ayatollah's attention for the first time.
But the classic Mike question, or non-question, is the damning list of White House crimes he read to presidential aide John Ehrlichman in 1973, at the height of the Watergate scandal.
Laundering money in Mexico, payoffs to silence witnesses, perjury, plans to audit tax returns for political retaliation, theft of psychiatric records, spying by undercover agents, conspiracy to obstruct justice. All of this by the law and order administration of Richard Nixon.
Is there a question in there somewhere?
No.
Did you ask a follow-up?
You didn't need to. What you've done is the bill of particulars about the law and order of Richard Nixon.
And a plea of no contest.
Basically, that's correct.
You just remember one thing on our first meeting. You must be good to me.
Why would I be otherwise?
In many ways, Tina Turner's general plea to Mike before their interview a dozen years ago spoke volumes about his talents and reputation. He was nice to her, but soon he went right back to his not-so-nice ways here with Charlton Heston.
It sounds to me a little bit like the language of the quintessential, forgive me, nutcase, right-wing zealot.
In the spirit of fair play, we asked Mike a final, classic Mike question. This is what some people say about you. That you're a grandstander. That you're the most important person in the story. That you're more important than the story sometimes. That you're egotistical, occasionally cruel, and for many people, well-mannered people, the embodiment of everything that they hate about reporters.
I've got to plead guilty, I suppose. You know, that it comes with the territory, or it certainly has come with my territory.
Mike helped create 60 Minutes in 1968 at the age of 50. No one could have known that he was just starting the biggest part of his career and launching with Don Hewitt the most successful program in the history of primetime television. His interviews were like no others. Interviews that he once told Ed Bradley were based on one simple idea.
Let's ask the questions that might be on the minds of the people looking in. They would love to feel that if I were there in that chair where Wallace is, here's what I want to know. Who wants to kill you? What the dickens are you doing? Mr. Ferguson, I mean, it's quite apparent that something's going on there. I mean...
He went after politicians.
Why'd you take the money?
My taking the money had nothing to do with the legislation.
I mean, you're a crook.
And hoods.
And a murderer.
That's what they say. Doggone, I wish they didn't say that, though.
Question.
Dictators like Panama's Manuel Noriega.
How much do you make? Hard question. Simple question.
Even movie legends like Betty Davis.
It may just have been that you were difficult, Betty.
No.
Not difficult, impossible.
I'm Mike Wallace.
He was, in fact, the heart and soul of this broadcast, showing us all time and again how it's done.
You don't trust the media, you've said so. You don't trust whites, you've said so. You don't trust Jews, you've said so. Well, here I am.
His encounter with Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan was classic Mike.
So what?
Straight talk, no nonsense, and fireworks when the subject turned to corruption in Nigeria.
No, I will not allow America, or you, Mr. Wallace, to condemn them as the most corrupt nation on earth. How dare you put yourself in that position as a moral judge? I think you should keep quiet. I didn't mean to be so fiery.
No, that's good. It's good. Minister Louis Farrakhan despaired.
By our rough count, since the birth of this broadcast, Mike did over 800 reports involving literally thousands of interviews, from the hilarious to the heartbreaking.
Can I take you back to November 22nd in 1963?
In terms of power and poignancy, his interview with former Secret Service agent Clint Hill has no equal. That's Hill, climbing aboard President Kennedy's car in Dallas, risking his own life seconds after the president was shot. For years, Hill blamed himself for Kennedy's death, and he talked about it publicly for the first time with Mike.
It's my fault. Oh.
No one has ever suggested that for an instant. All that you did was show great bravery and great presence of mind. What was on the citation that was given you for your work on November 22nd, 1963? Extraordinary courage and heroic effort in the face of maximum danger.
Mike, I don't care about that. If I had reacted just a little bit quicker, and I could have, I guess. And I'll live with that to my grave.
I came here with a belief.
Mike interviewed his friends, the Reagans, many times.
Why hasn't this job weighed as heavily on you as it has on some other occupants of this Oval Office?
Well, Mike, I don't know what the answer to that would be. Well, maybe none of them had a Nancy.
Reporting on them from the sunny days at the California ranch, to the White House, to the long goodbye.
Do you think he knows you still?
I don't know.
Have you said goodbye?
No. Not really. He's there. He's there.
So you think that next time around...
Mike was at it so long he'd interviewed presidents and first ladies, going all the way back to Eleanor Roosevelt in the 50s.
A good many people hated your husband. They even hated you.
Oh, yes, a great many do still.
Matter of fact, you can take any historic moment in recent decades, and there, somewhere in the frame, like Forrest Gump or Woody Allen's character Zelig,
Whoa, Mike has just been shoved down.
you'd usually find Mike.
They sure gave you a rough shove.
I'm fine. In our studios in Chicago is Dr. Martin Luther King.
In the 1960s alone, he interviewed Martin Luther King Jr., JFK,
Remain strong.
and Malcolm X, who months before his death confessed to Mike his fear that his enemies in the Black Muslim movement were plotting his assassination.
Are you not, perhaps, afraid of what might happen to you as a result of making these revelations?
Oh, yes. I probably am a dead man already.
He roamed the world in search of provocative interviews.
The Israelis could be persuaded.
In the Mideast alone, he spoke to Golda Meir, Menachem Begin, the Shah of Iran, and 7 different times over the years.
Me? Yes, you.
Yasser Arafat.
Mr. Chairman, there are Palestinians who would like to kill you.
Maybe they are opposing me, but not to kill me.
Where do you inject it?
Into your gluteus maximus, which is your butt muscle.
Your butt muscle.
For years, Mike's unerring instinct for the hot-button topic Sunday night had America buzzing on Monday morning.
What you are saying is that the national pastime...
National pastime is juice?
Is juiced. Yeah.
It is.
His interview with Jose Canseco led Congress to investigate steroid use in Major League Baseball.
You think that people are going to believe you?
A topic he revisited with Roger Clemens.
24, 25 years, Mike. You'd think I'd get an inch of respect. An inch. How can you prove your innocence?
Apparently you haven't done it yet. And this...
And another controversial newsmaker, Dr. Death, Jack Kevorkian, went to prison after giving Mike this tape.
We're going to inject in your right arm.
It shows Kevorkian administering a lethal injection to a gravely ill patient who wanted to die.
Is he dead now?
He's dying now.
There's something almost ghoulish in your desire to see the deed done.
It appears that way to you. I can't criticize you for that. But the main point is the last part of your statement, that the deed be done.
But the most shocking interview Mike ever did is surely the one with Vietnam veteran Paul Meadlow on 60 Minutes in 1969.
I might have killed about 10, 15 of them.
Meadlow confessed his role in the My Lai massacre, the Vietnam atrocity by American troops that appalled the nation. Even Mike was surprised, as he told our late colleague, Ed Bradley.
How in the world do you shoot babies? Why in the world would I ask him?
How do you shoot babies?
I don't know, it's just one of them things.
That's one of them things.
And 30 years later, Mike went back to My Lai with Hugh Thompson and Larry Colburn, the 2 soldiers who put a stop to the massacre.
She wants to meet Mr. Thompson. Well, here is Mr. Thompson. And it was such a moving experience to see the people who had heard about them.
Thank you very much.
Astonishing what you learn and feel and see along the way. A reporter's job, as you know, is such a joy.
When you think of Mike, you might think of him barging in on bureaucrats and bad guys loaded for bear. But over the years, some of his most memorable interviews were with entertainers. It was just a couple of years ago we sat down with Mike to screen some of his greatest showbiz hits, beginning with an example of almost every interviewer's nightmare, a performer so quick and so funny that right from the start, you're not sure who's interviewing whom. In this case, it's Mike and Mel Brooks.
Tell me something. The show...
Is that a $100 watch? Let me see that watch.
It's about a $40 watch.
It's a beautiful watch.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I love that.
It's a $40 watch.
Really?
Yes. Lights up in the dark.
What a cheap son of a bitch you are.
You got the right. You're a great judge of character.
Yeah.
Tell me this.
What'd you pay for your jacket?
I don't know. This is hop sack.
Hop sack is like fancy burlap,
That's
right?
exactly
Am I right?
That's exactly
It's like
right.
burlap shrunk down. You know that 6 months ago that your jacket carried coffee beans? Do you realize that? Wait a minute. He reeks of Colombian coffee, I gotta tell you.
He's completely hijacked your interview, clearly.
Good. That's not hijacking an interview.
You didn't think, oh my God, I'm out of control here?
Oh, not for an instant. I was grateful to him for what he was doing.
Make a noise.
Over the years, he has matched wits with the best that Broadway, Hollywood, and the music world have to offer. Long hairs from Leonard Bernstein to Luciano Pavarotti, and divas of all stripes, from Janis Joplin to Julie Andrews to Oprah.
God.
God, yeah.
Important to you?
Oh, yeah. I love her. I do.
Come on, Mike.
Here he is with actor Kirk Douglas in 1992.
You had a reputation as a real horse's behind. Even your own kids said that you were very difficult.
They didn't say I was a horse's ass, did they?
No, they did not.
Who beside Mike Wallace would start an interview by saying, people say you're a horse's behind? I mean, wow.
They know who I am and what kind of questions I might...
They've walked into the den.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they know it.
Absolutely. That's correct. Why do they do it?
They think they can beat you.
That's correct.
Not many did. Mike got to hang out with Johnny Carson in 1979 for Carson's only in-depth television profile.
Why are you doing this now? I'm not running a boiler room operation. I have no phony real estate scam. I'm not taking any kickbacks. We're doing this.
It was pleasant and innocuous enough until Carson mentioned his rule about never joking on The Tonight Show about people's drinking problems.
Of course, it takes one to know one.
Cruel. You're cruel.
There was a time.
What?
Come on. There was a time when...
I used to have a little pop. I sure did.
That's right.
I don't handle it well.
You and Really, you don't?
I don't handle alcohol well at all, no. Really don't. And when I did drink, rather than a lot of people who become fun-loving and gregarious and love everybody, I would go the opposite. And it would happen just like that.
I love that man. I really did.
He wasn't upset with this interview.
No, he loved it. And, of course, the one thing that he did not like was that I beat him at tennis. That was very important to him.
Yes. He was competitive.
What, are you waiting for your pacemaker to start? That thing's got to kick in just about when you serve.
The chemistry between Mike and his interview subjects was sometimes complicated.
You would love to control this piece.
Absolutely. What are you kidding?
He first met Barbra Streisand in the 1960s when she was a guest on a talk show he hosted. 3 decades later, on 60 Minutes, they crossed swords in one of Mike's most controversial interviews.
I really didn't like you back 30 years ago. And I don't think you liked me either.
I thought you were mean. I thought you were very mean.
You know something? 20 or 30 years of psychoanalysis. I say to myself, what is it that she's trying to find out that takes 20 to 30 years?
I'm a slow learner.
How many years have you been in psychotherapy off and on?
Why do you sound so accusatory?
I'm not accusing you.
Are you against psychotherapy?
And then there's Shirley MacLaine. She got the full Wallace treatment in 1984.
You really believe that you lived lives before
Oh, yes, Mike. I don't. There's no doubt in my mind about it.
And you really believe in extraterrestrial... Do they come visit you on the porch? Now you're being unpleasant, Wallace, is what you're saying.
Yes, this is what I was a little afraid of. I mean, you don't have to be that unpleasant. It doesn't become you, you know?
But dare we say it? In his old age, a side of Mike emerged that was positively paternal. Here he is with actress Hilary Swank, whose rise to the top in Hollywood is a story to soften the heart of even the toughest old crank.
My mom said to me that I could do anything I wanted in life as long as I worked hard enough. And to this day, it still makes me really emotional.
Yeah.
Because I just never questioned it, you know? She just always believed in me.
She was the genuine article.
But his all-time favorite interview, not just among the performers, but of all of them, was with piano virtuoso Vladimir Horowitz in 1977.
I was in awe of this guy. He comes into the orchestra hall in Chicago, and I say, "Oh, maestro. Mike Wallace, I watch you every Sunday night." Come on.
You know what I'm going to ask you.
Yes, I know, because they ask me all the time.
And when I asked him to play what he had played in Central Park in 1945, the Stars and Stripes Forever.
No, I forgot that. I
You-
didn't play
come
for.
on, you
I
haven't
didn't play
forgotten
20. I tell you, I don't know it.
I don't know how. I don't forget it. I mean, this is what he was throwing.
But I have to remember, it's so difficult.
And his wife, Wanda, said, "Play it."
Go ahead. Go,
At the end?
Go on from there.
And he did.
Why was that your favorite? Why? Because you were in awe of
Because
him?
you got the unvarnished. This is the first time he had ever done anything like this.
We thought of another reason. Because in a lot of ways, Vladimir Horowitz was just like Mike Wallace. Brilliant, temperamental, a holy terror. When Horowitz was growing up in Russia, people who heard his astonishing playing thought he was possessed by the devil. Just
Rolling?
like Mike.
Now wait just a moment. Come on, God damn it, Mike.
Get out of the way, will you please, kid?
Oh.
When Mike Wallace was born 93 years ago in Brookline, Massachusetts, he was named Myron, a name he never really liked. And as soon as he could, he changed it to what he felt was the punchier Mike. And he spent the best part of a century living up to that combative moniker. As you've seen, our tribute has consisted of equal parts roast and testimonial. Since I've known him, shared a great deal with him, and even fought with him longer than anybody else still around 60 Minutes, it falls to me to add a little armchair analysis. It's not easy to figure out a friend at a time like this, a man who at times was as decent a person as anyone would want to know, and at times, well, something else.
Hello. When did you get back from Tehran?
Do you feel it's time to maybe pack it in and reflect? Or
Reflect about what? Give me a break. Reflect. What am I going to reflect about? You can't believe that.
We knew it would not be easy trying to get him to reflect on his life and times, his legacy and all that.
How do you do, sir?
Reflection was never Mike's long suit.
All right, here we go.
He liked to work and argue.
What really gets Andy Rooney worked up? He's about to tell you.
Let's do that again.
Why? Why? That was good.
Just hold it a minute, goddammit.
This famous footage is of Mike arguing with Don Hewitt, the man who dreamed up 60 Minutes.
You're gutting the piece. Then forget 16 minutes, then you don't get on this week.
Though their dust-ups were by far the loudest, Mike and I also had our moments.
I mean, we were colleagues and competitors at the same time. When I wanted to do a story and you wanted to do a story, and it's the same story.
And I come into the office the next day, you're out of town doing the story. It's been a very bumpy and satisfying road.
That's exactly right.
Truth be told, Mike's story, Myron's story, is of the road not taken. If his parents had their way, young Myron probably would have become just what the world needed, one more lawyer. Were you a good kid? Were you a hellraiser? What?
I was a pretty good kid. You know, I was an overachiever. I worked very hard, played a hell of a fiddle.
Grades will be out next week. Oh.
In college, he got interested in radio, and soon after, in 1941, he reached a kind of pinnacle. Announcer on the Green Hornet.
Ride with Britt Reed as he races toward another thrilling adventure. The Green Hornet strikes again.
And that was that. No lawyer for the Wallaces.
Whatever Myron wanted to do, Myron was going to do.
Hello, I'm Mike Wallace with real news.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Myron, Mike, went on to do all kinds of early television. From variety shows to commercials.
It's Procter & Gamble's Golden Fluffo.
Darling, at this point in our lives,
from talk to soap.
Because I've got it made.
It was fine. It was honest work, but I was not especially proud of it.
And then in 1962, an event that would change his life. While sightseeing on a mountaintop in Greece, Mike's 19-year-old son, Peter, was killed.
And we went over and found him. He'd fallen off a cliff. You know, what do you say? He was a glorious young man.
I cannot think of anything worse than losing a child. I mean, we are programmed so that they will outlive us.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
To honor Peter's memory, Mike decided to concentrate on more meaningful work.
Mike Wallace at large on the CBS radio network.
CBS News became his professional home.
60 Minutes, Volume 1, Number 1.
Where he labored in the late 1960s and early 70s on a broadcast not too many people watched.
I'm Morley Safer.
I'm Mike Wallace.
60 Minutes, the early years.
We finished regularly 85 out of 100 shows and so forth, but we got our act together during those years.
We'll also be switching to San Diego, where the crew of the Pueblo is enjoying a Christmas Eve reunion with their families.
It was spring training.
That's exactly right.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Mike Wallace.
The rest, as they say, is history.
I'm Mike Wallace.
On screen, of course, there was little evidence of the toll taken by the brutal hours and the arguments and the hundreds upon hundreds of airplane flights and hotel rooms.
So do you have a piece of identification?
But like all of us, Mike did not escape untouched. He passed out on a plane some years ago. Doctors implanted a pacemaker and monitored his heart by long distance. Over the years, he became involved in some major embarrassments for CBS.
What you're charging Brown and Williamson with.
There was his interview with whistleblower Jeffrey Wigand, who charged that despite its denials, the tobacco industry had known for years how harmful cigarettes were.
It's a delivery device for nicotine.
A delivery device for nicotine. Put it in your mouth, light it up, and you're going to get your fix.
You're going to get your fix.
CBS management first refused to air the interview. By the time it finally did run, the network had a very public black eye. But it was a lawsuit over a Vietnam documentary that literally took him to the edge.
And the facts prove that I was right. Now let's stop it.
All right, sir.
General William Westmoreland sued Mike and CBS for reporting that Westmoreland had deliberately falsified estimates of enemy troop strength in Vietnam. The suit was eventually dropped, and Mike talked many times about the deep depression that descended on him during the trial. What he did not talk about was something a few of us always suspected. Did you try to commit suicide at one point?
I've never said this before. Yeah, I tried. I don't know why the hell you asked me that question, because other people have, and it's the first time I've answered it honestly. I wrote a note, and Mary found it. And she found the pills that I was taking on the floor. I was asleep.
That was more than 25 years ago. Mike's wife, Mary, got him through it.
Going up.
And those intervening years were some of the most productive in his career. You've since become a kind of poster boy for dealing with depression.
Yes, I have. Hi. Depression can be treated. How are you, sir?
Fine. And he pulled no punches about his own depression in his memoirs.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
And there were only so many awards to be had. As for retirement, that was never an option.
I've always thought, what the dickens would I do? You paint, you write, you do all kinds of things. I don't. I work.
I work. That, in a way, summed up Mike's life. A restless man always chasing the next story, ready to tweak his next victim, even when the victim was himself.
You're going to become a musician now, you know. Enough of this broadcasting stuff now for the
In preparation for his retirement, we took him to the violin virtuoso Itzhak Perlman, whom Mike once profiled, to see if there was a second career in the old warhorse.
Let me see your bow grip. Thumb a little bent. No. This is a real challenge. Exactly. You want to... That's it. Do you remember songs that you played when you were
Meditation from Thais. Play it. Come on. La, da, da, da. A Christmas celebration. The whole family was there. And they got on the old man to play Meditation from Thais. Mm-hmm. And I started to play it. And everybody began to laugh.
Cry.
No, to laugh. I never have picked up the fiddle since. And you know what this morning has done? This? I am never going to pick up the fiddle again.
This special tribute to Mike Wallace continues in a moment. Go to 60minutesovertime.com to access our archive and watch the best of Mike Wallace. Sponsored by Pfizer.
A few years back, in what turned out to be Mike's last taped interview, he talked with his grandson, Ames Yates. As you'll see, Mike was relaxed and, as always, very candid.
1957. Mm-hmm. For some reason, they decided to do a cover. I used to do a column here in New York in the Post. This, I was being taken off the floor at the 1968 Democratic Convention. I said, like this, "What are you getting so excited about?" to the cop. "You're under arrest." I mean, I grabbed him.
You've reached the highest level of success. What do you feel you've sacrificed to get to that position?
I was more interested in my work than in my family.
In the sense of, did you derive more happiness from work?
Apparently I did, yeah.
Do you feel the same, aside from all the experiences that you've had, as you did when you were my age?
Well, when I was your age, and this colored I used to have a very bad case of acne. You wouldn't have believed what it used to be. As a result of which, I grew up with a kind of chip on my shoulder and a sense of inferiority. And I think that to a certain degree I tried to make up for that. Some of it good. I knew that I was going to have to work harder. That marked me.
So you're saying like kind of a lack of confidence made you so good?
A lack of confidence made me work harder, yeah.
No one ever questioned Mike's work ethic. I think it's fair to say that this broadcast, this studio, was his life. But fairly late in life, he found another passion, another home. Back where he started at the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor. Here, Myron Wallace, class of 1939, first stepped before a microphone. And here there's a place that he founded called Wallace House, a place where working journalists from around the country and the world can come to renew themselves, to study, to hone their craft, to better serve the public interest.
Journalism really does have the power to build up communities and make people understand each other better.
It's just been an amazing experience, the only place I can
60 Minutes and Wallace House. Not too bad a legacy for our old pal, for that cheeky kid from Brookline.